Dear friends, good day. Dear colleagues, dear experts. My name is Lyovkin Sergey. I am the head of the Moscow Department for Urban Planning Policy of Moscow, but I'm not going to be in this capacity right now, and I will act as a moderator of the session. This event is dedicated to the big renovation program of Moscow. And in the very beginning of the discussion, I'd like to give the floor to the first Deputy Minister of Construction, House and Utilities of the Russian Federation, Alexander Lomakin. You have the floor. Sergey, thank you very much. Dear colleagues, I'm happy to welcome you all. I'd like to say thank Sergey and your colleagues. That's really a challenging time. Unfortunately, the coronavirus is still among us, but you managed to organize such a massive and important event, and you've managed to organize it offline. It's possible to be here in person. We are going to talk about really very relevant program, and it's good that we can talk about them in person. I'm welcoming everyone, and I'd like to say that as of now, one of the main goals of the Russian development is providing affordable, and it's very important, affordable and high-quality housing. Tasks are rather challenging. We need to build 1 billion square meters until the year 2030, and it means that we have to build 120 square meters per year in Russia in total. And we need to provide 5 million families with housing of the improved quality annually. And the renovation program is actually one of the main drivers or one of the best examples for many of the regions to achieve this goal. Right now, we have good experience of the renovation program in Moscow, and on the federal level in December 2020 we've adopted the law on the comprehensive territory development, and all the regions will be able to develop housing construction and the construction of social facilities, develop infrastructure and engineering systems, because it's important not only achieve some indicators in square meters, but we need to improve the quality of living for people. Of course, there are different economic aspects in different regions. There are different levels of the economic affluence, but I also need to say that the government of Russia has developed a whole complex of measures of economical support, the so-called infrastructural menu, and this menu includes infrastructure loans, it includes infrastructure bonds, and the funds from the welfare fund of Russia, and all these tools are available to people. There are some additional tools as well, but these three ones which I've mentioned are the main ones. The regions will be able to get money. They are loans, yes, you'll have to repay these loans, but conditions are rather good, rather affordable, and it's possible to use this money for building infrastructure, social and transport infrastructure, and this will be additional impetus for building houses, commercial housing as well. Another thing I wanted to mention, we think about increasing the amount of housing for rent to be built, because we shouldn't always talk about building houses for selling to citizens. And if it's houses for rent, it's a good opportunity for increasing the volume of housing being built in total. These are the main factors. I don't want to spend too much time with my presentation, and I'd like to thank you for giving me the floor. Alexander, thank you very much. And now we have a small video about the renovation program. City changing its face. 1st of July 2017, the loan renovation. The program covers more than 5,000 houses in Moscow. Implementation until 2032. 513 construction sites in operation. It's planned to build 291 houses, or about 5 million square meters of new housing. 118 facilities commissioned. 107 houses have been demolished, and people got new houses, new apartments. New standards of living, improved furnishing, high-quality materials, good integration with the urban environment, affordable social infrastructure. Well thought through greenery strategy. Lots of prospects. The overall plan is to build 5 million square meters of new housing. Lots of focus on infrastructure and services. Moscow renovation. The city is getting the new face. And now I'd like to represent all the participants of the discussion. I start with colleagues who are going to participate in the online format. Elizabeth Merck, she is the head of the Department of Urban Planning and Building Regulation. Munich, Germany. Simona Calarini, Director of the General Urban Planning Department, City of Milan, Italy. Enrique Peñalosa, a famous urbanist, our friend. I don't like the word former. I would like to say in the past he was the mayor of Bogota, the capital of Colombia. Elena Nicolaiva, deputy of the State Duma. But unfortunately, but I don't want to stop here because she's actually responsible for many different projects. I don't have time to mention all of them. Grigory Vaulin, CEO of the Ferrostroy Group. We will learn more about him and his projects later on. Alex Shapiro, founder of Wow House Bureau. It's good to translate Wow House. How can I translate that? It's difficult to translate. And we have first row speakers. They are on the right from me. Dmitry Kovanev, Deputy Head of the Moscow City Construction Department. Anatoly Konstantinov, CEO of the Moscow Foundation for the Renovation of the Residential Housing. He has all the money, all the people, all the knowledge about the renovation, all the contracts. We really respect him very much in our discussion. Ilya Kievsky, CEO of Razvitya Goroda company. Without science, without academic support, we can't go into such projects, and his company does a lot for ensuring the scientific support. And now we start a discussion. We want it to be interactive. I don't want it to be the set of presentations. And I'll say you a couple of words. We have 1 hour for the discussion in total. And we've actually spent 15 minutes out of these 60 minutes. Everyone has just 5 minutes for your remarks, maybe less, because we have a very long program of the forum, and there will be the next session after ours. Presentation on screen, please. It's longer than 5 minutes, my presentation, I mean, but I will try to go through it very briefly, and I'm not going to read the text on the slide. It's the 4th year since the beginning of the program. It was adopted officially by the law, approved by the mayor of Moscow, and It's interesting to see what's been done. This program is really unique in many regards. And usually the main thing is the following. When we were thinking about beginning it, we focused on the Muscovite, focused on the citizen of the city. And I'm not talking about only those people who are moving from older houses to new houses under this program, but also about the people who lived close to the cities, in other cities. And we've had a long discussion about that. There were some challenges. And another task of this program was not just move people from older houses, demolish the houses and build new ones, but it was important for us to create a completely different space, realm, which would be human-centered, with all the necessary functions and services, transport services, educational services, cultural functions, access to all the facilities of the city, good environment, and so on and so forth. So we've looked at the experience from different cities. We've looked at the experience of projects which were implemented. We took only the best examples and decided to go even further because the program is really absolutely unique. Some people say that there were similar projects in other cities, but I still would like to highlight it's absolutely unique. Yes, because there are similar programs by the number of square meters built, but our program is financed by the city budget, exclusively city budget. There are no investor funds at all. And another idea, another main message, we've created some unprecedented conditions for those citizens who participated. They had to vote 3 times through different resources for their house to be included in the program. It's 5,175 houses which were approved. This is really a lot of voting. So that's 1 million of people who live there. But there is also 1 million or 1.5 million of people who live nearby. Those who are relatives, they are connected to the citizens. They also have their own reactions about this program. It's 15 or 20% of all the citizens of Moscow. All of them were engaged. So by this percentage point of the total population, we are really unique with this program. We live in a fast-changing world, and demands of urban dwellers are changing together with the world. It's not easy to build new houses in a highly populated and really very densely built spaces. We do not have free spaces to build new houses and move all the people overnight. The program will last for 15 years. After we've developed all the plans, we divided the construction into many stages. We have 3 5-year periods, and there were some public presentation of this program. 3 departments were engaged in this process, and now we know all the dates, all the deadlines. Of course, everyone wants to move as fast as possible, but unfortunately, that's not going to be possible. We decided that the first stage it's the year 2024, second stage is 2028, and 2033, 2032, that's the third stage for moving people to new housing. We have all the necessary urban planning documentation, and the process of preparing this documentation was unique as well. We have not just the list of apartments and houses. We have the list of all the citizens. We know information about their bank accounts. We get information about the area of his flat. As of now, we know the number of bedrooms in each apartment. We know how many people live in each flat. Those who are in the queue, in the line for getting the municipal housing from the state. We know the number of dwellers of each houses, and here I'm talking about people with disabilities. And if there are people with disabilities moving to a new house, and we are building facilities to make their life better. And we can show you all the proofs about that. According to the decision of the mayor, now we have rather high quality standards for the new houses to be built. I mean, the quality of the materials used inside the flats. So, for example, there was also a decision that trees in the backyards are going to be older than 5 years old. They're going to be big houses. Of course, you can build you can plant new trees, but if it's 5-year-old tree, this will look absolutely different. It will feel better, feel more comfortable, and in 5 years of time, this backyard will look very livable. As for materials used inside, we use laminated flooring of the 31st class. This is really the best quality if you know about renovations, refurbishings. You know that this is really a very high quality materials. And we have similar standards for different types of materials. And they are used when we plan new houses and when we build new houses within the program. We had lots of doubts. We heard lots of doubts from those who were voting for moving. There were lots of questions from experts while the program was still being put together. Some people were saying, oh, don't believe the government, you're going to be moved outside of the Moscow Circle Road. People didn't believe in some cases that they will get better conditions. But right now, I know that all these statements have no basis, and everyone now believes that the program is a decent one and all the promises will be met. There are just 2 issues which are still open, and possibly we won't even close them in the nearest future. Those who decided not to participate in the program, when they voted against originally, now they want to be the part of the program. They write letters to the president, to the deputy chair of the government. But unfortunately, on the 1st of July 2017, it's not possible to vote anymore to be included. If you were included, it's not possible now to change something. More specifically, there will be the second stage of decisions to be taken, and there will be maybe the new renovation program, the second stage one. The second open issue, which is still not solved. The price of new apartments is much higher than the price for apartments which we had before. Now the environment is completely different, and we have lots of people who want to pay additionally and get bigger flats within the program, or they want to even buy separate flats in the same houses of the area of up to 100 meters. But now we're solving different issues. Now our main goal is to give people flats of the same flooring, and this is our main priority for now. Maybe later on we'll have a possibility to give people who want to pay additionally bigger flats. All our plans are being implemented right now. As for the year 2020, we have a goal set by the mayor to start moving people. More than 30,000 people will be moved this year. We are commissioning more than 1,500 flats. We are within the schedule And I think that our colleagues will tell you more, but we'll try to move ahead of the schedule, because lots of people want to move as soon as possible. They are asking us to speed up the process. And we do everything we can, because we want people to get new, very comfortable housing as soon as possible. Thank you very much for your attention.
We start our discussion. I hope that our colleagues who I did not see on the screen got connected. Please advise me. Can you hear us? Elizabeth, are you with us? Okay. Good afternoon, Elizabeth. Saying that, I would like to pass the floor over to you. The demographics in Munich, according to your focus, by 2030, the population will grow to 1.8 million people, and it means there is more demand for housing. And the city cannot meet that demand at the moment, so probably you can correct me if I'm right or wrong. Munich finds itself in a position when there is a shortage of land. Tell us, please, how do you cope with this objective in terms of providing necessary housing for your residents, making housing affordable?
Shall I? Yes. Thank you. Hello to everybody. We presented recently a new master plan for the urban development and for renovation in Munich. Maybe I can have my first slide. And it's not only about housing and affordable housing and programs like social policies for affordable housing, but it's also a vision of a greener city of tomorrow, as you told before. I don't know now if anybody can see my slides. Okay. And we think that it should be a city of cooperation regarding the spatial transformation, also on a regional level, because we never will have all enough place in our city by our own. And second, a city of multifunctional use, mixed neighborhoods, and a city of participation regarding society. So bringing in new population, by increasing and growth, but also taking care of the social structure which is already there. Munich is a city where social justice and solidarity plays an important role, and we agree to the new Leipzig Charter, which emphasizes the value of common good in our cities as climate change, affordable housing, green infrastructure, and new forms of mobility. And this linked even every day more to a digital transformation as well. Please, the next slide. You see a little bit our city pattern. It was the one before. And we need new impulses in our existing city to present from gentrification. Maybe we can have the map before. And you will see that we have an ongoing program for urban redevelopment areas. And one important key issue is the requalification and redensification of our urban quarters. And this is a place for neighborhood, for social and cultural interaction and integration. And on this slide, you see the money for the building construction in Germany, and the little part which is due only to renovation. And you see with 6.7 million euros, it's absolutely not enough. And the city of Munich by its own gives 1.5 billion in a time slot of 5 years to do housing programs, mixed housing programs, and to support cooperative housing. I like to emphasize the model of building cooperatives because they bring an integrated approach into our quarters. They are very important. And we have a policy called social equitable land use, which makes sure that investments benefits for all. And this, I think, is very, very important regarding not only the housing by its own, but also the public space. Maybe next slide. We are transforming also public spaces. We put some soccer areas on the top of our houses when we renovate them, so we can redensificate our areas and give new public space and a new potential for climate change and mobility, and in the end to enrich the quality of life in the neighborhoods. Of course, there are also conflicts. Redensification of existing areas is not only welcome. Sometimes there are conflicts because we put in, let's say, 500, 1,000, 5,000 new apartments, and we have also to deal with the wider neighborhood, let's say, and this is mostly an argument of social infrastructure we have to build as well, and the mobility. Munich is a car city, even if we have a very good public transport system, but the movements from the region into the city and from the city out into the region, it's a number about 500 million cars a day, and this is really a big challenge also for the argument of renovation. Then next slide, I think the new European Bauhaus initiatives and the EU foundings for the renovation waves can bring together technical standards and cultural heritage in the process of transformation. For me, it's very important that we do this climate change and transformation of the city, not only on a technical and functional point of view, but also on a point of view regarding cultural identity and social values. And looking forward to a sustainable CO2 neutral city, we need to focus on our existing urban infrastructure and the building stock, as well as we need a new understanding for building materials and constructions. We experimented in the past with timber constructions and we succeeded quite well. We must invent new technologies to recycle concrete buildings when we transform the big conversion areas. And beside the challenge of climate change, I think we have a real opportunity to reinvent our cities, to improve our life quality, and to create a new identity together towards participation and cooperation of society. I think I stop here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Ms. Merck. And saying that, I would like to pass the floor to Enrique Penelosi. Enrique, your city management experience and its development is unique. You could see how the changes which you introduced brought in effect of a miracle and set the bar of a human-centric approach for many cities in the world. This is not your first time in Moscow, so could you share your experience about what changes in Moscow you can note?
Thank you, Sergey. A brief comments about the renovation. First, cities are redeveloped or they grow for many reasons. One is because households become smaller, for example, and then more housing is needed, even if the population doesn't grow. Second, happily societies become wealthier, and of course, better cities can be built once societies are wealthier. So the cities are going to be rebuilt. They are not going to last 5,000 years the same, without change. So the question is not whether cities are rebuilt. That's not the question. The question is when are they rebuilt, how are they rebuilt, and where they are rebuilt. And they are rebuilt, the objectives are, for one, to make better housing, because if a society is wealthier, it can make better housing than the housing that was built 50 years before. And happily, again, as I say, societies get wealthier, not poorer. And second, they are also rebuilt to create more and better public pedestrian space. Now, one thing that is normal is that people resist change. Is always people will resist change, and sometimes for political motives, and sometimes it's normal simply that people resist change. However, democracy states very clearly, one of the basic principles of democracy is that public good prevails over private interest. And so sometimes it's necessary to demolish, to forcefully buy the houses of some people, and it's always done everywhere, in the United States, in Colombia, everywhere. This is something normal that is done all the time, to forcefully buy properties using what is called sometimes eminent domain or expropriation or whatever. Now, normally when the properties are forcefully bought to make roads or other infrastructure such as airports or ports, people accept it. They think it's normal, part of progress. But when housing is bought to make renovation, this generates more discussion and more, I don't exactly know why, because actually this is to make the lives of people better, not the way cars work better. But this is the way it is. Now, I'd like to say one comment. One issue in the United States where many dozens of millions of homes have to be built over the next decades, there is a huge problem because there is not enough renovation, so many lower-income people are pushed to live farther and farther away, where they have to drive longer distances, get into worse traffic jams. This is very bad for the low-income people, it's very bad for the environment, it's very bad for traffic, it's very bad for everybody. So I don't think this is the way, and they have clear that this is wrong, that this is not desirable, but this is happening, and they have no real effective way to avoid it. So I think it's much better to do, as Moscow has been doing, to rebuild the city inside the city, as close to the center in the places where you have mass transit and such things. Now, as I said, cities are always rebuilt. So, another question that is about how this rebuilding is done is, one is whether it's done building by building, as it was done in Bogota, in large areas, building by building. Homes were demolished to make a bigger building, a newer building. But then there was no improvement in the city because there is no more public pedestrian space, no more roads, not even the pipes were made bigger. So this is not a good thing for the city because this is how, I would say, a selfish way of doing house by house. So the question is whether you do it house by house or in a large area, where you redo a whole large area. And I think everywhere in the world, everybody agrees that it's much better to do this redevelopment in a large area and not just building by building. And of course, this is more difficult politically because then it becomes a political issue, and some people will complain, or others will just make a good opportunity to do politics, whatever. Now, I will just finish with the following comment. I think I would propose that the most important measure of success of building, and of course of urban renewal, is what happens when the building reaches the ground. What happens when the building reaches the ground? When a new building is made or a new development is made, does it become more attractive to be in the public space in front of it? Does it become more pleasant to talk there? Does it become more pleasant to walk by there? Does it become more pleasant to play there? Does it become more pleasant to kiss there? I mean, does it become? So that's the measure. That's the measure. So the measure of success of the new redevelopment I would propose is how is the quality of the public pedestrian spaces which are being created in the new redevelopment projects. And how do you measure this? The measure of this is not something that some expert is going to come and give the approval or not, or is not where it gets architectural prizes, is how much people does it attract. The measure of a good park or a good public space is how much people does it attract, how much do people want to be there and stay there. And so this is what I would propose. So for that, we need to have very good integration between the buildings and the public space. We need to have shops in the first floor, cafes. We need to have windows, not just blind walls, things like this. So what I think is that Moscow's project, to end with this last comment, is very valiant, very brave. I know how difficult this is politically. It's very difficult. But if it is well done, it's really a very important thing for a happier life for everybody in the future. Now, I know this will be difficult politically, but I repeat once again, the city will be rebuilt in any case. That's not the question. The question again is when is rebuilt, how is rebuilt, and where is rebuilt. And I believe the philosophy of what Moscow is doing, for what I know, I'm not an expert in this, is first, it's very good because it's being rebuilt in the right places, closer to the center, close to job areas, close to public transport. And second, that an important part of the project is to create more and better public pedestrian space, more parks. So as I have suffered trying to do this kind of thing, not in such a large scale, never, my respects and my congratulations. And of course, the real measure of success will be how much people do enjoy to be in those public spaces and what the value of the new apartments is through time. How does it evolve?
Thank you so much, Enrique. Once again, let me stress that we very much appreciate your comments, especially for me as the head of the Moscow Department of Urban Planning Policy. And saying that, I would like to pass the floor to Simona Gallarini. Compared to many other megacities, Milano has a small population, only 1.3 million people living in your city. But along with that, the city remains comfortable and convenient for living. You have the so-called metropole area, Milanese metropole with more populations, bigger Milano. Can you tell us about your problems, about your success? What is your take on our program? What is your comment about Moscow? We very much appreciate that.
Well, good morning to everybody. Thank you for your invitation. Yes, really, in comparison with the other global megacities, we are a very, very small conglomeration. Milan has currently about 1.4 million inhabitants, and the entire metropolitan area is a few more than 3 million people, as you said. But despite this, we have a high capacity to attract investment and from the world. Well, sincerely, I don't know exactly why, but I think that our strength is right in our not too big dimension, that this enables us to maintain human scale, capacity to check and manage the urban transformations through a unitary vision, and of course capacity to link innovation with existing urban texture. That is very important for us. 1 year ago, we had published our general urban plan, Milan 2030, as you see in the slide. This plan offers us a new vision for the future. It is based on the reduction of economic and social imbalances, to development of all districts according to an integrated strategy, to combine growth, the improvement of environmental conditions, and the quality of life its citizens and users. More social, more affordable housing, more green areas, more agricultural zones, more services, more public services. This is our targets. And we would to reach them through a balanced relationship with the private owner and without soil consumption. I think that a good example that could demonstrate our approach could be our recent experience. The next slide, please. Thank you. With Redeveloping Cities competition. This is held with C4 organization, and sincerely, I feel that I invited you to replicate that. In this bid, we have identified more than 500,000 square meters of abandoned areas of underutilized sites to redevelop with decarbonization goals and innovative solutions for climate and social and affordable housing. And the slide could show you more projects, some projects about the result and the exits of this competition. Yeah, I think that, of course, we have a long way to go, especially in this post-pandemic period. It's very, very difficult. But I think also that the contemporary challenges for our cities required us to undermine the cause of the social and economic imbalances between our territories. I'm sure, as I said, Peñalosa before me, that the only key possible is to put people in the center of the future, working, taking into account the human needs, our neighbors, our citizens, and of course, the beauty of social life. Well, I can stop here, and the slide can show us some example of the project of the Renovation Cities. Thank you for your attention.
Зная немножко миланцев, у меня друзья живут в Милане, архитектор, большая семья.
He's an architect living in Milan, and I'm absolutely sure that your project is going to have success. You are very creative. You are very persistent. All of you in Milan are like that, and I'm absolutely sure you'll achieve success. And now I'll give the floor to Elena Nicolaiva. Just a couple of words. She is in the midst of all this work. She's working for Kuzminki region, actually the southeast of Moscow has the biggest number of renovated houses, and Kuzminki is the center of the southeast of Moscow. During the Soviet time, during the era of Khrushchev, when people were moved from dugouts to new houses, and this territory back then had lots of jobs, and there were lots of industrial construction going on, and there are houses of the first industrial stage. There are lots of houses like that. There is very high density of population, and that's why there is a big problem with working with this territory. So tell us what's happening back there in Kuzminki. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate. 68% of houses in Kuzminki will be renovated. And during the voting and right now, we've actually spoke with people from all the micro districts. I speak with you, I speak with the Renovation Fund a lot, I participate in different councils, and what I can share with you, that's results of dialogues with citizens. So I was there on site. I know they had lots of myths, and they had to be dragged into very difficult discussions, which were possibly not very clear to them, but there's been several years already of this program, and we have less political questions. We have less controversial issue now. Citizens ask very practical questions which are very relevant to their day-to-day life. And Muscovites not only understand how the renovation works now, but we also see the transformation of their thinking. The renovation of the housing stock, that's the challenge for all the cities, but we also have additional problem here. Until the 90s, all the houses were owned by the state or municipalities. We had the process of privatization, and only now people start being transformed into responsible house owners. We had to solve the problem of the obsolescence of the housing stock. Very recently, we introduced the law on the major repairs of houses. Before that, we didn't have such a law. We had no experience about major repairs. There was a decision taken on the basis of the federal law and the Moscow laws on the large-scale renovation of Moscow in 2017. There were lots of discussion. I participated in discussions at the State Duma. There were discussions at different forums. But now this program really has lots of practical details, and those who work within this program, they are great experts, and they know experts to the very minute questions. We should understand that right now we moved already about 30,000 people in Moscow. Just to understand, for you to understand the scope of this project, 90 projects, urban planning projects, had to be done in a very short period of time. They should have undergo the public hearings. There were some comments from citizens. Yes, sometimes it was necessary to demolish the little plaza between the houses, and citizens were against it. There were some main roads supposed to be put near engineering facilities, and there were changes made according to the discussions. Moscow started asking new type of questions. How are the houses going to look like? Maybe they look all the same, too typical, like in the Soviet era. And the correct decision was taken. There was a very important international urban planning competition. The name of this competition was The Face of Renovation. I participated in the process, and there were lots of international teams who participated, and they provided us with some really enticing solutions for every district, for every neighborhood. There were 105 applications, and 49 teams got accepted for the competition. And there were several winners, and among them there were Russian and foreign architectural bureaus from 17 countries. And right now their proposals will be implemented at 52 renovation sites. Every district will have its own face. They all will have a certain flavor. They will not be typical and identical. The city will look differently. This will be the new face of the city. And I have a short question to actually all of us. Some of the houses will have the new face, but what's going to happen with those houses which are waiting for the major repairs? How will they look like? They will look still really very outdated. What do we need to do to make sure that everything look consistent? Maybe these two programs, major repairs and renovation, go in parallel, and we should do something to make sure that the overall face of the city is homogeneous. Because we faced this big problem in Lublino already and in Kuzminki, and there should be some solution to it. I have several proposals. We don't pay a lot of attention to energy efficiency. We think about energy efficiency as the basis, but right now it's important for us to set the bar higher because we need to remember about new standards. People should understand that they don't pay higher utility prices moving to new houses. They want to have better conditions money-wise as well. Renovation is not discriminatory. It doesn't matter how much you earn. If you are poor, you're not supposed to move further away from the center, but we need to take into account income into the account and the maintenance of houses. That's really a significant part of the budget of our citizens. When we're talking about renovation, we are not talking just about houses, the housing stock as such. We are talking about the new living environment, and I have several numbers here for you. 88% of projects have 425 social infrastructure objects, 125 kindergartens, 89 schools, several complexes combining kindergartens and schools, 64 PE complexes, and some additional entertainment and extracurricular activities complexes. We have also 144 kilometers of backyard paths for pedestrians. This is really a universal, comprehensive approach to the environment, and I do hope Muscovites will see the value in what we are doing. What are we going to do about the loyalty program for those houses who didn't vote for renovation, but those which are close to the houses to be renovated? Maybe they are going to get the better major repairs, maybe they'll get some additional benefits, and we need to think about stimulus for other houses to have a more favorable look on the renovation program. It's important that we teach Muscovites how to manage their houses, how to be responsible citizens. And it's a good idea to use this new management system for high-rise buildings. We need to educate people. They used to live in the smaller houses, they knew all their neighbors, but what shall you do if you want to have a general meeting in a bigger house where there are lots of apartments? This is actually another important goal which we could have. There is already an awareness-raising program, but I think we should talk more to the citizens, and this will make them more loyal, and they will be more helpful for our efforts in the renovation program. I'd like to thank everyone, Alexander and Sergey. You also personally do a lot for the renovation program. We've been a lot on the roofs in Kuzminki with you. Anton, I'd like to thank you as well. We do tell you some unfavorable comments as well, but you always listen to us and you always try to find the best solution. And I'm absolutely sure that Moscow renovation program is going to be a benchmark, not only for the Russian Federation, but for many cities in the world. Elena, thank you very much. You have very interesting proposals. But we have just 10 minutes left and we are behind the schedule. I won't be able to answer you. I do have answers to all your proposals, but unfortunately we are out of time right now. Dear colleagues, just 10 minutes left. 3 minutes for all the key speakers and 3 minutes for our first row speakers, because of course I definitely need to give them the floor today within the session. Oleg, tell us about your vision. What do you know? What do you think? I'll try to say a couple of words about Kapotnya region. This is a unique place. It's unique because it's the oil processing plant within the city. And there are 40,000 people living in this district and around 820,000 people. And this plant takes 30% of all the territory. What can we do about it? In 2011, Gazprom Neft acquired this territory, and frankly speaking, it's interesting that this processing plant provides 1/3 of fuel for the capital, for all the airports. There is the Circle pipeline, and that's really efficient. And just interaction between the city and the major businesses give us the possibility to do something with this processing plant. 240 billion were invested for renovating this plant. And right now, all the concentration of chemicals in the air are within the decent limits. For example, water. 80% of it is recultivated, 35% of water is clean. There are no spills. Everything is closed. Why is it important? We recultivated the area around. It's not the hell within the big megalopolis, but it's a good district. This plant provides 2,000 jobs to the citizens of Moscow, and it helps the city to develop. And you see, it's neighboring with the huge recreational green territory. The decision was taken not only to do renovation in this district. It was possible due to the sanation of this region. It's not just building new houses, but it's just a higher set of works. And what can it be done? How can we make it more environmental friendly? What's the potential of this district? It's possible to build houses, yes, but what else could be done? And we've noticed that we have a big nature spot near the river, and this territory used to be a desert place, deserted, but now we've changed it into the recreational zone. It's a family park. The total area for the whole Kapotnya city, which helps the city to be much more family-friendly. There is also some preserved territory marshland, which is also quite unique. Budgetary funds were used for improvement in this territory, You see before and after photos. There are cycling and running paths. There are 3 dog spots for walking dogs, some playgrounds. You see how this territory looks like. On the right, you see some smoke, but it's not from the oil processing plant. It's somebody having their barbecues. Beautiful bridges, amazing landscape. We managed to preserve nature with nesting birds. The oil processing plant was there, and when it was not environmental friendly, birds were living there. They still live there, but we should always remember not only about humans, but about animals and birds who live close to hazardous objects in the city. And we want to have not only birds near to the oil processing plant in Kapotnia, but we also want humans to visit the spaces. Oleg, thank you very much. I'm a Muscovite, and I do confirm that this territory has been transformed, retrofitted, and now it looks amazing. And it's really absolutely amazing that it's close to the major oil processing plant within the Moscow city. And I invite everyone to visit this territory. And now I'll give the floor to Grigory. His company, Ferrostroy, is doing a great job. You are building important objects. Could you please be very brief, talking about your efforts, about your ideas and approach, new type of approach? More and more people buy cars, and it's very important to think about parking lots. And renovation is also closely related to the problem with parking. Tell us about your work. Dear colleagues, Sergey, yes, we do have a problem with parking. We have the exponential growth of car ownership. 8.3 million, that's for Moscow and Moscow region. And just in the past 4 years, we have additional 1 million cars bought. If you don't do anything about it, you see the picture on the left. This is the flat parking, not possible to move, very cumbersome. And our proposal is multi-level parking. For the renovation program, it's one of the steps. And all the plans of layouts show that the city planned 53 multi-level parkings within this program, additionally some commercial parking. In total, it's a lot. It's a huge amount of cars which could be parked there. How could we build all these parking lots within the limited time? We have very great examples. Metal frame parkings. We are not just building from scratch, we are assembling our parkings from parts. And this is also helping us to solve the problem with migrants. You see on one of the pictures, top left corner, we do not have any columns. Inside we have planks on top, and it's better, it's easier to park. We're not building only parking spaces, we build kindergartens using new construction technologies. And the best thing is 89% of all the materials will be recycled after the construction. Our parkings are also architectural objects. They are part of the new districts. You see them very well. They have high visibility. You see good examples from the United States or Germany. In Denmark, they have the great project of using the roof. They take the playground from the surface and place it on the roof of the parking that was being built. You see another project, skate parks, driving school, and additional parking spaces for the weekends. You can have here my document offices, you can have cafes on the roofs, and some other functions could be included. But we do have restrictions, couple of words about them, because that's a fly in the ointment. And we have very strict regulations in Russia, especially if you compare our laws with Europe. If we use the space of roofs, we need very good protection, fire protection for all the frames on the roof, 150 minutes instead of normal 15 minutes. 200 kilograms per square meter load. We tried it, we tested it with cars. This is also a very high requirement. And draconian sanitarian gap rules. So if there are more than 300 parking spaces, you need to have 50 meters a gap around the parking. It should be free. But there is a lot to be done. It's possible to work in this direction. And it's amazing that parks are not just garages where you save cars and some other stuff, but now parking's turned into architectural objects, and it's great that the city of Moscow included them into the renovation project. Thank you very much. It's a very interesting object. It's not just a storage space where you simply store your car, but you also think about the development of the space. It's a very interesting project. And now 30 seconds to each of you. I do apologize, but as I'm a moderator, I have to be really strict.
Большой опыт у вас в городе.
A question to you. You have great experience. You've done a lot for the city. You work with the old mayor's team. You work for the new team of Mayor Sobyanin. And now you see you are proposed to be appointed the head of the largest fund with the biggest budget, annual budget. What was your feelings and what kind of changes you see in this program? Was it a good program? First, tell me about your psychological reaction.
Only thing I regret, actually, I relied on my English listening to Enrique, and actually I thought I could understand him, but unfortunately my English was not so fluent. So I will actually hear that in recording. Now, I was not totally prepared for my appointment as the Director General, so I was very much against that. But actually this program is very big, very large scale. Yes, that's true. And the most difficult thing about that program was, guess what? To train people and to make them, the designers, make high-quality documentation. After that, the contractors would work flawlessly. After we started commissioning the very first buildings last year, we made all the contractors fulfill their work high quality, making sure that the residents would have no claims, no complaints. Now the contractors, this year they understand that actually they cannot work their sleeves rolled down. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dmitry Kobanev, Deputy Head of the Department for Construction. This is the key department. They are in charge of all the major construction projects in Moscow. Kindergarten, schools, bridges, flyovers, metro tunnels. This department is in charge of. Quite recently, he got connected to the renovation program. He was not behind that. But still, he was charged with that, and he immediately assumed his responsibilities. Immediately, he became an active participant in that program. What is your take on that? Thank you so much, Sergei. Well, everyone was very positive about the program, and still we will prevail. Everything would be very good in our city. Everything is being done on a quality level, all the houses which we're commissioning. And the design solutions which are suggested. They are all energy efficient. It is inclusive of the smart standards, all the communications, which actually all the power lines which before were made only to the doorsteps now are being drawn right into the apartment. The citizens actually can enjoy the one-stop shop approach to collect all the necessary documents, and we use a digital approach to pay the bills, to pay the rent. Another thing I would like to tell you, the overall scope of funding is enormous. It's about 8 trillion rubles. This is how much we're going to spend on renovation. Certainly the city invests the federal money into the renovation, but it won't be enough. Therefore, the city relies on private investments. We are selling some residential houses, apartments for commercial users, and also we actually get some money from the land use, and we are doing some comprehensive development. I would like to pass the floor to Vasily Chikachikin, whose company is using innovative approaches, something new, something creative in their plans. What's your take on the program in terms of the development of the territory, refurbishment? Well, to start with, I'd like to note an enormous work done by the city in order to renovate the territory. And as you said, there are no counterparts as to that in the world. As colleagues said, that renovation, this is not just about renewal of the houses, but this is about relaunching or reopening, rediscovering of the cities. Mr. Subyanin shared his formula of success when actually, in essence, you create a place where people are ready to invest their soul, ready to invest their money and their life, creating new jobs and places where people are ready to live. This is our own formula of a residential cluster, where we give an answer what people are going to do there and what our children are going to learn in these clusters and what professions they are going to acquire. Two cases. We are restarting, relaunching the territory right in the very downtown of Moscow, where we bet on the professions of the future. Apart from unique architecture, boulevards and embankments, we're creating the Academy of Fashion, Academy of Design, Academy of Sport, Academy of Martial Arts, and this becomes a driver for the development of the territory in general. The second case, this is the federal program, and we are cooperating with the Ministry of Construction, doing that very tightly, and we rely on all the support measures which were mentioned by Sergei. We are working in the framework of the comprehensive development program. That's the very core of our strategy, and I'd like to restart this program. How we are going to relaunch it? There would be an inter-academia campus following the instruction of President Putin. We're creating comprehensive and convenient environment for the city of Ivanovo. It would be another breakthrough made for that city. And the colleagues from the Ministry of Construction would confirm that this is totally unique. These are the examples set by Moscow, which could be replicated on the territory of the country in general. In terms of renovation, I would like to react, saying that this is a very decent, very powerful program. We, as entrepreneurs, are ready to make our own contribution and interacting with executive authorities. We are ready to help to update and renovate the urban environment of our country. One more expert, Ilya, you have only 10 seconds. Why 10 seconds only? Because from the very first days of the program, ever since the special law was adopted, Ilya was the very man who, along with me, was a member of the team that provided necessary scientific justification. Such a program, such a scale for such a city cannot do certainly without scientific supervision. Well, apart from architects and constructors, we had a lot of scientific fellows and workers, scientists. We are certainly counting money, the public investments. This is something which we have to plan in certain time frame. The city also has a system of urban planning and urban management. It's got expanded very much, because you have to see that on the map, to see that in the database, within the calendar. So it means that big analytical work is being done. That's the shadow part, an invisible part of the work which we are doing, but it is very important. The whole city is working on that program, and this is the key factor behind this success. Thank you so much. Colleagues, we are running out of time, and I made a very big mistake, let me confess. I didn't ask the program directorate to allow us to speak for 90 minutes, not 60 minutes, but I will remedy that mistake next time. I'm very grateful to all of you for your very specific, very informative contributions, for your feedback. And it leaves me only with the must to fulfill my promise. Thank you so much.